You are now listening to the 17 and Christian podcast with your host, Jack. That's me. This is a podcast in which I share my journey through Christ Jesus and the incredible things God does in my life on the daily. I feel I have a unique opportunity to share my story with people. So, what has God done today? And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 17 and Christian podcast. My name is Jack. Hope you are all having a fantastic day. I know today was just amazing for me. I had such a good day today, and it's been so long since I've done one of these. I honestly can't remember the last time I sat down and did a podcast, so I apologize if I'm a little bit rusty, but I'm sure I'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. I've honestly just been so busy. I went on my mission trip. I had prom last weekend. I went snowboarding. I've done all these things. School's been crazy. We got finals coming up. I got AZ Merit. I got freaking AP tests. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And so it's just kind of like my schedule has just been completely full. And so I kind of apologize for not being able to sit down and do these more. It's definitely something I miss, and I want to get back into it. And more or less not even get back into it, but kind of reboot it. I've been gone for so long that I feel like I'm kind of starting over in a sense. So I kind of want to reboot it. And I think I can make this so much better and so much cooler. And, starting just even with the intro, I had a brand new intro that I worked way hard on, and I hope you guys kind of enjoyed it. It's new, it's fresh, it's kind of cool. I enjoyed it. So I don't really know where I'm going to kind of start with this, because typically when I've done these in the past, I've set out a plan, kind of like bullet point list of what I want to talk about, but there's nothing really I specifically want to talk about today besides kind of just one thing. And I want to make note, I went on my mission trip. That was so much fun. It was completely life-changing experience, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit today and things that I talk about, but I'm probably going to do my own whole separate podcast / video thing for the mission trip itself, because I want to interview people that were on the mission trip with me and get kind of their experiences as well, because I wasn't the only one there. And just kind of hear some of the different perspectives from other people and their sites that they were at and things they experienced, because I was the only one from my team at this particular site that I was at, the education site. And I want to hear about what other people had to talk about. And I want you guys to be able to hear that too, and not just kind of my point of view. So quick little side note, that'll probably be its own thing. That'll come out here pretty soon. I want to try and do a lot more podcasts, and I kind of want to start trying to do devotionals. So maybe not a podcast every single day where I talk about kind of just myself, but more of a podcast where I sit down and do a devotional with you guys in the morning before, I get ready for my day, and just spend, kind of 20 minutes just kind of going through the Bible and learning a little bit more. Because I love what I do in these podcasts where I kind of share my personal story, my testimony, things that I'm going on and going through right now. But I also think it's important that we, kind of learn together and we go through that process. And I think devotionals are super, super important. There's something we learned, I started doing in the Dominican. So I think that'd be kind of cool to do as well. So I'll have kind of two things going, where I do my podcast talks where I talk about my life and stuff like that, like I'm doing right now. And then I have a devotional thing where I do, every other morning. We kind of back and forth, and just being able to kind of mix match what's going on and just the way we can learn together. So I think that's really, really cool. And I haven't really, put a whole ton of thought into it, just kind of the idea that's going through my head right now. But the thing I wanted to talk about today that's kind of been pressing on me a little bit is the whole idea behind when God tells you no. Now, I know that sounds like such a great grimacing thing to talk about right after you got back from a mission trip, but I think it's really important in the sense that I perceive it is I've been told no a lot this year to a bunch of different things. And in my previous podcast, I've talked about, kind of when I'm going through that and dealing with struggles, talking about them with other people, things, trials and tribulations, something works, something doesn't, this happens, this doesn't, you kind of hit a brick wall, and fighting through that and how to get through that. And I feel like that's all I've kind of been talking about recently, but I haven't really talked about what's at the end. And obviously, I don't know what's at the end because I'm still learning, but kind of what's at the end of like that little period. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now, is I'm at the end, or, you know, kind of wrapping up that little chapter of my life of where this all kind of happened and began, and things are new and things are happening and new things are coming and going. And I feel it's kind of important that I put closure on that, and I put closure out there for you guys so that you know that things will get better. Because a lot of times when I was going through that stuff, and I still go through it today, there's moments when I don't think it's going to get better. There's times when I don't want to get up for school. There's days when I don't want to go to church or read my Bible or pray because I'm so frustrated or angry or mad because I just don't know why this is happening to me and why God won't let me do what I want to do, or be a part of a club, or be a part of a team, or go someplace rather than this place, or whatever. And I get so frustrated sometimes that it's hard knowing that there's an end. And I feel like I'm not the only person that kind of goes through that. And look, if you're going through something right now and you know you don't really feel like there's an end, or you need somebody to talk to, please reach out to me. You can, you know, DM me on any of my social media. You can email me. There's even a little message thing on my website itself. I would love to talk to you about stuff that you're going through and help you through that, because I think it's important that everybody realizes that it'll subside eventually. Something else will take its place. Pain is only temporary. There's a motivational speaker who I love. His name is Eric Thomas, and one of his famous sayings is, "Pain is temporary. It may last for a minute, it may last for an hour, it may even last for a year, but eventually it will subside." And I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. My pain these past 4 months has been a lot. I've gone through a lot of different things. I've been told no a multitude of times. I've changed, but something's taking its place. I'm just happy. I'm content with where I'm at, and I'm not focusing on the past anymore. I've kind of just let it go and let God. I'm just chilling. I mean, I've been having so much more fun and going and doing so much more spontaneous things. Like on Sunday, I went snowboarding. No particular reason. I mean, I was supposed to go snowboarding with a couple of friends from GCU, but tickets went super high, so they couldn't go. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go. I drove up that morning. I went to church that morning. There's a funny story about that, but I went to church. I snowboarded for like 4 or 5 hours, totally face planted. It was so much fun, but I loved it. And it was just like this spontaneous thing that I got to do. And I never would have done that 5 months ago. I never would have done that. Just be like, hey, I'm going to go snowboarding. Like, it was new. I never snowboarded before. I haven't seen snow in like 10 years. I honestly kind of forgot what it was like to be in the snow. Like it was just, I had no gear. I borrowed it all from a friend of mine. I just had fun. And that was the most fun I've had doing something kind of like that in forever. And like when I went on roller coasters, like when I went to Disneyland earlier this year, I went on a bunch of roller coasters, and I'm terrified of roller coasters, or so I thought. Like, I used to be absolutely petrified of roller coasters and heights. I still am terrified of heights. Don't ever take me on top of a building because I probably will die. Heights are like my least favorite thing in the world, but I overcame it, and I did something I never thought I could do, and it was incredible. And I pushed myself, and I'm doing these things, and I'm pushing myself to do better each and every single day. And I love it. I never want it to stop. And lately, these past couple of weeks, I feel like I haven't been doing that. And I miss that feeling. I miss that drive and that push. And so I feel like I personally also need to kind of close out this chapter knowing that there's an end. Knowing that something will subside. Pain is only temporary. So for those of you that haven't really listened to my podcast before, if this is your first episode, first of all, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. But these past 4 months have been really hard for me. The beginning of 2019 did not get off to a great start for me. I tried out for my school's baseball team, which I've been playing baseball my whole life, and I got cut for the first time ever. I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I was dumbfounded. I had no idea what to do. Then I met this girl. We started talking. Things seemed to start going well. And you know what? I got told no there too. Things just didn't work out between us. And actually, we got into kind of a pretty big argument the other day. And that was really, really frustrating for me. And prom was 5 days ago. And I got told no because to a date. It's not like I asked anybody, but I wanted to make sure if I did ask somebody, it was somebody I wanted to be with and somebody I truly wanted to be my date, not just to have for a picture or whatever. And that was really, really hard for me, not having a date. I mean, it's prom. Everybody has a date to prom. But I guess I felt kind of weak. And I guess less manly because I didn't have a date to prom. And so, I got told no to the presidency of this club that I have been working so hard for. The past 3 years, I have put blood, sweat, and tears into making this club better, and I got voted out. Now I'm running for an officer of another really big club at my school, and I'm honestly kind of scared. I don't know that I'm going to make it. I'm trying to have, confidence and know that I'm doing well. My interview today seemed to go pretty good. But, there's always just that feeling in the back of your head that's like, man, what if this doesn't happen? And that's something I've just been kind of dealing with it for a while. And it's just been hard. There's no good way to put it. It has just been hard. But there's been so many great things that have happened to me this year too. I went on a 10-day mission trip to the Dominican Republic, my first time ever overseas, my first extended mission trip. It was absolutely incredible and life-changing and opened my eyes to so many new things. And it even got me interested in a year-long study abroad program there in the Dominican that I'm applying for. That would be my freshman year of college. I've officially sent in my first ever college application. I'm going to be a senior next year in high school. I'm going through all of this. I went to prom. I had so much fun. I went snowboarding. I've grown in my church and just gone to meet new people and do these, new experiences and things that I never thought I would do. And I've just been having so much more fun and just focusing on myself. And it's been a serious, continuous battle for me. And that's kind of just what I felt like I needed to get off my chest today, is the fact that I'm kind of going through that. And I go through that a lot. A couple of weeks ago, I can't quite remember if I've ever said this on a podcast before, but there was a time in my life 4 or 5 years ago where I nearly committed suicide. There's a whole backstory to it, but I was going through a lot, and this is a time where God wasn't in my life, and I had completely kind of ridden him and was really angry at him, and I was like, whatever, like, how could you put me in this situation? Like, why would you let me get here and be this upset and this depressed? And I was cutting, and I just didn't care about life anymore. And for whatever reason, a couple weeks ago, I was dealing with a lot of just spiritual warfare. And spiritual warfare for me is things that just burden me and weigh me down. And like the moment I got up that morning, I felt like there was like a ton, literally like 2,000 pounds of bricks laying on top of me, and I couldn't move. I couldn't get up. And then this song that was just on, it felt like it was on repeat all day long, that just reminded me of bad memories and bad memories and bad memories. And I was just in such a rough place. And the problem is, when I get into the kind of that mood or that mode of where I'm so upset and I'm so angry and I'm just kind of just depressed and I just don't want to do anything, I get internalized and I stop talking and I just kind of shut up and I just sit there and try and deal with it on my own. And I honestly got really close to cutting again. I didn't know what else to do. That was just kind of where my mind went. I'm like, okay, you know what? I just need to kind of let go of this right now. This is what helps me. This is what helped me in the past. Luckily, I didn't. I reached out to some of my friends, and they helped me through it, and I was so thankful for them. But it's an ongoing battle that I have to deal with. And I think it's important to make sure I say that, because I feel like whenever I kind of go through some stuff, I don't really talk about it a lot, and I'm not really vulnerable with what I'm going through. But the more I'm vulnerable about what I'm going through, the more real I am to myself, and the more real I am to the people I surround myself with. And I can tell them, hey man, look, I'm struggling with this. I need your help. You know, there's times when I need to go see a counselor, or there's times when I need to, you know, go talk to my pastor, and just things that I'm kind of going through, and just I need to reach out for help, because, you know, I can only do so much as a person. And so I think that's just kind of where I wanted to go today. I know it's, you know, not the brightest subject to talk about, but I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about, because a lot of people won't talk about it. And the fact that, you know, there's always going to be an end to something, you know. And when I first thought about talking about this, and it was supposed to be kind of happy in the sense that, like, hey, you know what, like, this is over, you know, it's happening, it's happened, I got through it. And that's kind of where I want this to go. But in the sense that, you know, people need to understand, when you're going through something, it is hard, it sucks. And it's just not fun. It's just not enjoyable. I mean, I never want people to go through the pain that I've gone through or I've endured in my life. I would never subject that onto other people. But at the same time, I realize now God puts me through those things and through those situations to better me, to strengthen me, and so that I can relay that to other people and I can help other people. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast in the first place. That's why I wanted to start my website. That's why I wanted to start my whole program, 17 and Christian. I'm just a kid. I make dumb mistakes. I had an AP US history test today. I'm just your average high schooler. I drive a big truck. Okay, it's not that big, but I drive a truck. I play video games. I listen to music. I go to Dutch or whatever. I mean, I'm a typical kid. But getting to know me and things that I've gone through, you know that I'm not a typical kid. And I think that's so amazing that God is using me right now and using me to talk to other people, because I feel like so often in our society, young people don't have a voice as much as we would like to. And when I say young people, I don't mean like millennials in the sense of people that are entering the workforce. I mean young people like my age, you know, in high school. We have a voice around our community, or maybe in high school itself, but to other people in the world, we can't really share that. And I think it's such an incredible gift that God has given me right now to be able to share that with you guys. And so something I want to read about from Romans chapter 8:28, it says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." And so where I was going with that is the sense that, you know, God's purpose for me is to talk to people and to share my experiences. And when I realized a couple weeks ago, when I was, you know, going through that time of, you know, almost relapsing on cutting, and I was really in a bad place, but don't get me wrong, I'm in a much better place right now. But I was like, man, you know what, this is hard. Like, I couldn't really see God in that moment. But afterwards, I was like, wait, this is God using this to talk to me. And I could hear him, and I could hear him talking to me. And I knew he was using me to share that with other people, because there were friends of mine that were going through stuff that I didn't even know about, and I reached out to them, and I was able to talk to them and help them. And there was other friends that didn't know I was going through that, or didn't know I had ever gone through that, and they reached out to me and they helped me. And it was just such an incredible moment to be there and just be in the presence of God and just feel his Holy Spirit working through me in that moment. And it was so cool. And I just feel like that's kind of God's purpose for me. And God loves me. He loves you. He loves everybody. He created each and every single one of us for a desired purpose. There's times in our life where we get challenged in our purpose, but that's the whole point of being a Christian. You're supposed to be challenged. God's going to challenge you through a lot of things. And oftentimes when you pray for something, an answer God might give you is no. And I didn't really understand that for a really long time. I was like, well, but why? I never understood the why behind the no. I understood that, okay, obviously I'm not supposed to do that. I got that part. That part's pretty easy. But I never understood the why. And now I understand the why. God says no because of it's his purpose, not yours. A lot of times the things that I've gone through, the things that I've done that God has said no to, it's because it's my purpose. It's like something I want to do. But God's like, dude, stop being an idiot. Get back on track. Let's go. And I find it funny. I find it kind of funny that God's like, dude, you're being an idiot right now. Stop. Let's work this out again and let's get back on track. Right? And that's his why. His why is because we have a purpose and he loves us. So if God is telling you no about something, don't be discouraged. No is an answer. Wait is also an answer. Right now, maybe just not right now is an answer. That's a perfectly fine answer. You may just be early. You may just, haven't gone through the things you need to go through before you can get to that position. I never would have been able to share my experiences right now had I never gone through those things. I never would have gone on my mission trip had I played baseball. God was telling me to wait. I just couldn't see why. But now I do. And I think that it's so important that people understand the why behind the no. And it's for a simple reason, is because God says so. And he loves you, and he loves every single piece about you. And he wants you to follow his purpose for you. Being told no isn't such a bad thing. It can lead to so many more amazing things that you just never even thought were possible. And I'm so glad God told me no. And I know that sounds funny, and even when I said it, it's kind of silly to me. But I'm so happy God told me no. If God didn't tell me no, I never would have grown closer with my cousin. I never would have met my cousin's boyfriend, Jordan, who's become one of my role models. I never would have met Ryan, who's been a leader. He's a leader to me. He's a brother. I never would have met the 13, I don't know, I can't math, the 13 other people on my mission trip with me. They all know who they are. I love you, each and every single one of you, so much. And for the Canadian team that was there with us, I don't know if any of you guys are listening right now, but you guys are awesome. That was so cool meeting Canadians for the first time ever. Just a total side note, Canadians are so cool, man. They get such a bad rep, like, oh yeah, like maple syrup and I'm like, dude, no, Canadians are chill. Love you guys. You're my best. Like, you guys, like, I'm coming to Canada. I want you to know that. But just talking about them brings the biggest smile to my face. And it just brings me so much excitement and so much joy. And I am so happy God told me no. And honestly, I've kind of, in a sense, almost challenged him. And and what I mean by that is I've almost kind of challenged him in the sense of like, well, what do you got for me next, man? And that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. That could be a great thing of like, things start working out for me. Like, let's say, like, just for example, I applied for like a summer internship, right? And, things start working out. I'm like, all right, dude, let's go. Like, and like, it's more a sense of like challenging me, like, hey, like, let's keep pushing. Like, let's grind, right? Or it could be the sense of like something happens. It's like, all right, let's get through this. And there's different types. And I've honestly, in my personal life, I've kind of just challenged God. I'm like, look, dude, whatever you got for me, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready right now. In this moment, I can trust you to get me through it. I'm not praying for you to stop the storm. I'm not praying for you to stop the bad things that are happening. I'm not praying for you to not say no. I'm praying and asking you that whatever happens in my life, man, you just get me through it. We just get by day and we just have fun. And that's just been such an amazing mentality I've been able to have, and I'm so blessed about it. And I honestly couldn't be able to do that without the things that I've gone through. And so the last thing I wanted to share was in Revelation. And it's Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. And honestly, before I did this podcast, I had actually never read the book of Revelation before. I never really looked into it, and I actually haven't even read that much of it. I've only read like a chapter, but I've honestly been kind of trying to save that for like the very end of my reading. I've started reading the Bible a little bit more like in patches when I do my devotionals instead of like reading books at the time, because like I used to read like entire books like Galatians, Matthew, Mark, Exodus, John. I would read the entire book of like John. And it was hard because it kind of didn't really like tie into other things, but you would pick up on it somewhere else. And I kind of struggled with that. But the cool thing about like my devotionals now is like I get to jump around and I can see the connections, between Paul's writings or, the Old Testament and the things that just how they connect. And I think that's really cool. And I picked this up from one of my devotionals. And so Revelation chapter 21 verse 4 says, "And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." Things are gone. Good things will take their place. We just have to trust God. It's important that we know the why behind the no or the wait or the yes. Even if God tells you yes, it's important to know why. God may answer your prayer, but why? What did you do to be there? And honestly, there's times when God just blesses you, man. God just does some incredible things where he just puts his hand on you like, you know what, dude? I'm just going to bless you right now. And there's a lot of times that happens. There's times this happened to me before. And I think that's really cool. And I just think that it's important we talk about the why. God will sometimes say no to you. He will sometimes say wait. And he will sometimes say yes. But know the why. Don't be afraid of the no. I think that's something I've learned these past couple months is just not being afraid of no, not being afraid of wait, and just trusting him. Letting go and letting God has just been something I've tried to do so much in my life. And I want to continue to do it because it has made everything so much easier for me. And it's made me so much happier, and it's just created just a better life for me. So that's kind of my spiel. I in my head it made a lot of sense. I hope it kind of all connected together. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a great day. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, want to talk to me about anything, like I said, reach out to me, man. Reach out to me via social media, via my website, via email, whatever. I'll sit down with you and we can have a talk over the phone. Whatever it may be, I would love to talk to you guys. But before we close out, I'm just going to finish us in prayer. And so if you would like to join me. Dear Lord, I just say thank you so much for today. Thank you for all the things that you've taught me these past couple months. I know that there's been times of struggle. I know there's been times of just anger and frustration, but no matter what, you never gave up on me. You were always there for me, and you showed me the why behind your reasoning. Lord, I ask that if there's anybody going through something right now, that you show them your why. You remind them that this is your purpose for them. This is the reason you have them on this earth. And just because something may not go their way today, it can go their way tomorrow. Have continuous faith in you and the almighty power that you possess in our lives. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you guys so much again for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully tomorrow I should have a devotional podcast out for you guys. And I will talk to you guys all later. Peace out.